Everyone, I am Claire Jones. If we haven't already met, I am the owner of Liminal Clarity, and I am an intuitive flow expert for women visionaries, innovators, and creators who are pretty much just looking to achieve more in less time with less stress. Because I am so anti hustle culture. So, I am jumping on today to talk about how we can increase creativity, productivity, innovation, and aligned flow, even in times of change, stress, and/or transformation. Continuing with the outer planets on our birth charts. So, if you are catching me live, or if you're watching the replay, please comment, tell us where you're tuning in from, and what your Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto placements are. So before I get into the nitty gritty, I wanted to let you know that I am opening up 3 spaces to those of you out there who want to move in harmony with your truest selves by cultivating intentional flow and productivity to achieve your life's work, your life's goals with ease and joy. So if you're interested, book a call with me. I'd be happy to chat. Link is in the comments. If you're joining us on YouTube, it's going to be in the description. So, it's not letting me paste it at the moment. So, let's get that in there. Come on. So, why am I talking about the outer planets today? Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto represent the most invisible, esoteric aspects of ourselves. Uranus rules the intuition and the future. Neptune rules healing and spirituality. And Pluto is power and transformation. So some people say that the Uranus is the occultist, Neptune is the mystic, and Pluto is the shaman. These are also the most remote planets, moving significantly slower than all the others. Uranus takes 84 years to move through the entire zodiac. Neptune takes 164 years, and Pluto 248. So this means that the signs of the outer planets describe whole generations more so than individual traits. So the more personal influences are determined by what houses they fall into on our chart, which we will be covering tomorrow. So starting with these planets today, for me, both my Uranus and my Neptune are in Capricorn, whereas my Pluto is in Scorpio. So for Uranus, this means that I like to participate in overturning outmoded traditions. Shocker, right? And oppressive systems, structures, governments, businesses, and leaders. If you caught my post yesterday about who we choose to quote and take advice from, this would apply, is I want to overturn these things. I like to rebel against authority, if you haven't already noticed. I also like to update how we look at relationships and commitments to other people as a society. But for Neptune, this means that I like to participate in eliminating unnecessary walls and barriers. I like to blur tradition and find practical ways of applying spiritual insights toward helping the environment and creating more compassionate businesses, governments, and societies. That is the combination of Neptune and Capricorn. Does this sound familiar? Because if you watch my social media profiles regularly, you can see me doing this all the time. And for Pluto, this means that I am a powerful revolutionary and a midwife of transformation with the Scorpio influence. Scorpio also rules sex, and I like to smash through sexual taboos and embrace bisexuality, open relationships, and sexual freedom. And whenever I look at these, it's like a big duh slap in the face because I see a long history of these behaviors throughout my life. I have always been a rebellious, trying to overturn these outdated concepts of how we interact with society as a whole. If you are interested in getting, can you relate with this? If you are interested in getting clear on your own identity as well, I'm opening up those 3 spaces to those of you out there who want to achieve more in less time with less stress. So book a call with me. Now let's get into the nitty gritty with the outer planets. So Uranus is the planet of intuition, electricity, and revolution. Our intuition strikes like lightning when we are connected to our Uranus placements. With innovation, creative genius, and flashes of insight, Uranus is the great awakener who jolts us out of complacency as generations. It pushes boundaries and rebels without second guessing to drive us forward by challenging the status quo and fueling revolution. Rules and tradition mean nothing to this planet, and it requires absolute authenticity. It requires us to go through the lessons of our Saturns first, the planet of responsibility, before we can access its paradigm shifting powers. You must understand the overarching system you wish to disrupt, to rebel against, before you can successfully chain things up. So let's look at Uranus in Libra, for example. So generations with this placement buck against traditions around marriage and relationships. That's the Libra influence. Sometimes they find it hard to settle down with one partner. Maybe they have unusual tastes and preferences. Maybe they have multiple divorces. This is very common for this generation. They are aiming to break the predefined mold for relationships. Since Libra also rules equality, these placements often become crusaders who fight for change in public policy to establish a more peaceful society, a more equitable society. Last time we saw this placement was in 1968 to 1975. So those of you out there who were born in those years, you are going to have Uranus and Libra as your placement. And it was a period of remarkable change in the realms of art, music, public policy, and relationship structures. Talk about the hippies, right? So in contrast, let's look at Uranus in Sagittarius. So generations with this placement tend to introduce new philosophies and revolutionize religion. So they are travelers and explorers, eager to explore new places, people, culture, and ideas. They hold the potential to join humanity together in novel, unifying belief systems, and often rebel against traditional organized religion. So the last time that we saw this placement was in 1981 to 1988. So those of you that were born in those years, you're going to have Uranus in Sagittarius. And there has been a corresponding spike in new forms of spirituality from that generation in particular. Now moving on to Neptune. This is the planet of spirituality and healing, helping us connect with life's invisible layers. Ruling dreams, mysticism, and illusions, it dissolves boundaries and reveals our more infinite natures. So its strength lies in the power of our imaginations as well as our vulnerability and capacity to nurture universal love, both for ourselves and for the beings around us. And it also requires us to learn Saturn's lessons in responsibility as well before we can protect Neptune's sensitive energies from slipping into delusion and naivety. So let's look at Neptune in Scorpio, for example. These generations are interested in psychological transformation and dissolving taboos. So Scorpio investigates, digs deep, and shifts paradigms, and these placements work to dismantle harmful and abusive powers. So the last time that we saw this placement was 1956 to 1970. So those of you who were born in those years, you're going to have Neptune in Scorpio, and this was a particularly fascinating period of growth, exploration, and transformation during that transit. People were exploring sexuality and the subconscious and deconstructing everything. Like postmodernism just deconstructed all sorts of things. So in contrast, let's look at Uranus in Aquarius. These generations are interested in propagating their humanitarian visions in order to help society as a whole. They are interested in establishing inclusion and bringing together people via innovative community structures. The last time we saw this placement was 1998 to 2012. So those of you that were born in those years, you have Uranus in Aquarius. And the festival culture has become huge with this generation, building grassroots communities around interactive and innovative forms of art and music. See how there's a correlation there? So finishing up with Pluto, This is the most powerful planet in astrology, ruling death, rebirth, and transformation. Known as the Destroyer, it ends movements and generations to begin a new one when it moves from sign to sign. It reflects the struggles, the passions, the metamorphosis of each generation and helps us achieve the pinnacle of spiritual advancement. It destroys everything that is out of alignment with the truth and offers intense lessons that force us to face our truest selves. If we are hiding anything, Pluto will break us out of those cocoons and help us surrender to the cleansing fires of self-awareness. This is not a light planet. It is also the heaviest planet in the solar system. So let's look at Pluto in Virgo. These generations are very down-to-earth pragmatists. In many ways, they rebel against the pleasure-seeking of the Leo generation that comes before them. So we last saw this in 1956 to 1972. So those of you that were born in those years, you're going to have Pluto in Virgo. And these placements care about purity, health, and work ethics, and have revolutionized medical technology, workouts and exercise routines, and alternative health practices. Now let's look at Pluto in Capricorn. So these generations want to rebuild entirely new governments, ruling structures, and traditions. That's the Capricorn influence. In the 18th century, this transit witnessed the founding fathers signing the Declaration of Independence. That is a perfect example of building entirely new governments. This current transit that we're currently in started in 2008 and will continue until 2024. So this is a current placement at the moment. We are currently with Pluto in Capricorn, and this is marking massive political upheaval and overturning of patriarchal traditions. So you can see how it rebuilds new structures. See how these placements differ with these planets? By understanding these placements better, we can better understand how our generations like to affect change on a broader scale. So that's pretty much it for today. If you're interested in learning more, please book a call with me. Let's talk about the best way to create a custom mix of mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical support structures and systems to combine the powers of neuroscience, spirituality, and wellness practices and achieve your goals while having way more fun in the process. You too can reach and maintain flow state even in times of change, stress, and or transformation. I can't wait to support all of you in this journey. So in the meantime, please join me for more of these Facebook Lives. I'll be jumping on more in the coming weeks to talk about these different topics and provide you with practical tips, tools, and recommendations. I'll be jumping on tomorrow to finish up the astrology section, talking about the 12 houses on your chart. And until then, remember that your authentic self is extraordinary. It is wonderful, and you owe it to yourself to create the elevated life that you know you are capable of. Take care, everyone. Bye.